It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dirt Talk.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. Happy to be here.
Happy to be there?
Here.
You got here early.
I did get here early.
That was nice.
Things worked out well for once.
We had a pre-show meeting and everything.
It was
you
great.
got up to speed on this one issue. Welcome, everyone around the world. November
27th.
Thank you. Steve Pancielman with Mystery Mark, another episode of Dart Talk.
Yes, it is.
Number 45 for the year.
Is it?
Can you believe that?
All right. No, I can't, actually.
They do add up.
They're listening to us 45 times.
I'm going on like my 70th show.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Who would have thunk it? We're brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. I wanted to start out with what we finished with last week.
Refresh my memory there, please.
We were talking about whether, darts in North America, and particularly, America, is at a crossroads.
Right, okay.
Which I will take the yes, it is
approach
position.
Sure.
And
which is why?
Well, look,
examples.
You've got a soft tip contingent.
Yeah.
Of players. Lots of players playing electronic darts, and far more opportunities to play in 2012 than they had in 2011. I think everybody would agree.
Right.
With Darts Live coming and with the popularity of the soft tip world championships in Hong Kong, and especially how well the Americans have done. I mean, to my mind, we're better than what I've seen in the
overseas?
Far East. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I think that we play a better game. I think our guys have more experience. From what I've seen, the Far Eastern players are generally younger. Looks like a lot of them are, under 30,
okay.
Definitely under 35, whereas our guys have been, they're pushing 40, been playing 20 years,
yeah.
Some of them. The guys that are going over there and doing well. And I think they're schooling the Far East
the younger
players.
folk?
Yeah, I think they're schooling them to some extent, although, the matches are close, and, the Americans don't always win, but they have done well.
Right.
And so you have the soft tip thing that is in one sense growing because of in America, all the board manufacturers coming in and creating new opportunities to play for people.
Right.
So you got that half. Then you've got the changes in the steel game where there are more, you've got the New World Dart Series started, and then you also have the PDC North American Tour events that we had in 2012.
Yeah.
Right? So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 new tournaments on the steel side in 2012, and now there'll be more. Do
you think that's going to detract a lot of people, or people are going to have to make a decision?
Well, we've talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, are they going to be steel tip throwers? Or
well, as a tournament player, what I do is you kind of look and see, well, what's the deal with this tournament? What's the payout? How much is it going to cost to get there? Even though sponsorship is up and more players are getting sponsored, not to the tune of like they're getting blank checks for the year, but some of these guys are getting decent money from sponsors, and other people are getting something, which is good, for everybody. I think that you'll find more people traveling this year than traveled in 2011, and I expect more people will travel in 2013 than traveled in
They'll keep
2012.
growing.
The question is, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're going to have like a soft tip player is going to play mostly soft tip tournaments and pick out a couple steels to go to, and then most steel players are going to go to the major steel tournaments and then maybe pick out a couple soft tip tournaments to go to.
Yeah, I think that's kind of. I think that's kind of what's going to be happening, and
Then
and
you
what
just
you're
have
going
to determine yourself whether you're a soft tip player or a steel tip player.
No, I don't think you have to do that. I think what you're going to have to do is start circling what the major tournaments are and making every effort to get there.
Yeah.
And that's part of our job is to, determine what the majors are. And at least it's relatively simple, right? You can look at the total prize purse of a tournament.
Yeah, for the majors.
Right?
Yeah.
You look at, what they're paying out and look at what you need to do to make your expenses and then, kind of make your decision. What's good about the on the steel side is that, the first place prize money is like way vastly higher than the tournaments that people have been traveling to over the last couple of years on what we'll call the ADO circuit.
But what's the Crossroads then?
Well, the Crossroads is that
It sounds to me like it's just going up.
it's the I Dream of Jeannie line that I always liked. Did you ever watch I Dream of Jeannie?
I did a long time ago.
Rest in peace, Larry Hagman.
Yeah.
There was a scene. There was an episode in I Dream of Jeannie where the genie gives her powers to Major Nelson.
Okay.
Right?
It relatively rings a bell, but
Okay.
don't have-
For listeners that
have your
aren't
memory.
like, as old as me, and I'm only 28, but
Or with
I
as
watch
good of a memory.
MeTV and everything.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So you still watch it?
Well, the deal with I Dream of Jeannie was it's an astronaut who literally finds a genie bottle on the beach and has a live-in genie who is like extremely attractive.
Right.
Which, since it was in the 60s, apparently nothing ever happened with them, or they got married at the last show or whatever. Anyway, somehow she ends up giving his powers or her powers to the guy. And the guy is like, oh my gosh, I could turn the Sahara from a desert into,
an ocean,
the Garden of Eden or
whatever.
And what the genie says to him is like, look, if you're going to flood a desert, you can empty an ocean.
Okay.
Okay. And that's kind of the deal with change, is when you change things, some things are going to be less and some things are going to be more. That's the nature of competition and capitalism and everything else. I mean, nobody's got a Betamax.
No.
Right?
Somebody somewhere does. But
well,
nobody...
I'm just saying. I mean, it's hard for me to get 8-track tapes.
Right, exactly.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, change, I think, and progress is good, but at the same time, what about what was there before? And what about the traditions and everything like that? So one of the issues that people have been talking about some is this deal with the New World Dart Series announced their first date for next year, which is going to be April 4th. First weekend in April.
Right, okay.
And they're holding it in Las Vegas, which
That's
I think
nice.
I've made it clear that I don't like that.
Oh.
No.
You don't?
I'm sick of going. I am just sick of going to Vegas, man.
Well, that's just
and there are
too
so
bad.
many tournaments. Okay. I've been to Vegas like literally 100 times.
Yeah.
There's no novelty for me. I mean, I could see how people would want to go, go to a dart tournament and go to Vegas. Ooh, yummy.
Sure.
Not for me. For me, Vegas is old hat for me, and it's just boring. And it's depressing that the Desert Inn is gone. All the places I used to like in Vegas have vanished, right? Being 28 years old, I remember the Stardust.
Yes.
Right?
Of course.
The black bathtubs and stuff. I always thought that place was cool. So at a Crossroads, it's like, are the players going to support these changes, which are, to my mind, beneficial to the players? And what's going to happen if everybody migrates one way? What happens to
the other side?
The other stuff.
Yeah.
So there's been some talk because when they scheduled the New World Dart Series in the first weekend of April, it conflicts with White Mountain.
Okay.
Which was, I had circled on my list as this is the year I'm finally going to go.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a little bit different. It's in a remote mountain resort town Gorham, New Hampshire, I think. There's no easy way to get there. You have to like fly into Manchester and then drive 3 hours, or and I had actually set up, people book their hotel rooms a year in advance for this thing because there's only so many.
Okay.
Right? And it turns into like kind of like a pretty cool event. There's consolation singles. There's like a late night pajama shoot. I mean, it's a real
right.
It always struck me. It always struck me as being something worth going to, and that it would be a good time for the players that go to a tournament to play and have a good time. It always has been a popular stop,
right.
Especially for the people that live in New England, and New England has a lot of steel players, right? And they've supported this tournament for 20-some years,
sure,
right? Well.
So now you're just wondering, are those same people that supported this tournament, are they going to go to the New World Dart Series, or are they going to stay at home?
It's not just that. What it also is I don't want to say that it's a territorial thing or a fiefdom thing or something like that, but there's an attitude among some that are kind of like, well, how dare you schedule a tournament the same weekend as our tournament?
Yeah, but that would happen any weekend, just about.
Well, the big tournaments tend not to, step on each other's toes.
Right.
And as players, you don't want that. As players, you want to be able to go to both of them. You can't be in two places at once. Yeah. It's difficult when you have to choose, and players haven't really had to make those choices before. Right, as far as like the big tournaments go, right? There are no two big tournaments on the same weekend that I can remember. As far as like 20,000.
Okay, right. But what are the other reasons why you never went to New Hampshire?
It's hard to get to.
Okay,
that's all.
So
it's just hard to get to, and then they've been moving the date around.
Yeah,
they made it later in the year, which I thought was going to make it easier for me to get to because you're talking about the end of winter, and it's up in the mountains. There's snow.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it's.
Then it's really hard to get to.
If you're like me and you're coming from Chicago and you have to fly, you're at the mercy of the weather. I mean, there have been people going to this tournament that got snowed out, ended up at an airport, and never made it. Right? So by making it later in the year, I thought it'd be easier to get to. Anyway, there's been some talk about the NWDS, stepping on the toes of this other tournament, which I don't buy. It's like, look, I mean, one's in Vegas for one.
Yes.
Right? And
halfway across the world.
Yeah, and it's also a matter of like these big tournaments are supposed to, promote the sport, which Dayton did.
Okay.
Everybody who went there, whether they won or lost, thought that the format of the tournament where you're playing, round robin all day Saturday and then, you've got the knockout singles on Sunday, everybody liked it. Right. Everybody got, enough play in where they felt it justified going there. It was worth going to. Some of these tournaments, like you're going to go to New Hampshire, from Chicago, that's a haul.
Yeah.
Right? What, Megabus would probably take 3 weeks to get there, right?
If you survived.
Well, you took Megabus. No, but I'm just saying that it's like, okay, I got a statement from the organizers of the New World Dart Series.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to address this issue.
Sure.
It's long.
It's 6 pages long.
Do you want to read it? Should
no,
we
not
read
really.
It, or
you can compress it in a nutshell.
You think? Okay. Well, let's see here. Really?
Oh, go ahead.
How are you going to condense like 8 pages into like? I guess I could try. Well, I don't. I thought you were going to read it. I was going to make you read it.
Basically, what they're saying is there's difficulty scheduling a tournament. There's issues with that. Everything's got to go under a budget, so you can't pick and choose. I mean, it's not like every date is an open date. They do their best to, talk with the other tournaments and try and work out their schedules, and it didn't work out this way, and they're sorry, but there's nothing they could do about it.
Well, yeah, and the statement that they have, and maybe we can post it on the Dart Talk Facebook page because it is somewhat lengthy. Is they recognize that this is a beloved, established tournament that people have been going to for years, but I think that they make the point, and I think it's accurate, is that there's room for both.
Oh, right? I agree with that too.
There aren't too many people from the West Coast that plan on
going
to
right.
Gorham, New Hampshire for a 20,000 tournament.
Yeah.
Right, but they can definitely get to Vegas. The Southern California people can drive. Right? I don't know. I didn't have time to go look up the results to see how many of like the top shots go there. But yeah, the ones that are local do. The one issue I have with this is people need to realize that when you change things and when you start to progress as a sport, there's going to be some bumps in the road.
Always.
Right? But the one thing about the New World Darts Series that I found out that is, I think, an exciting development is that the prize money you win in the New World Darts Series is going to count on the PDC Order of Merit. Okay. So now you've got, we've been talking about like the NAPTA rankings and stuff like that. Okay. Well, now the PDC Order of Merit is going to really end up being kind of the be-all and end-all of who's where, right?
Okay.
Now, last year there were only 3 PDC events, right? And the way the prize money breaks down, if you're not getting really anything for top 32 or whatever. I mean, the prize it's a little more top-loaded, but the NWDS events are offering more prize money, which means that if you don't go to the NWDS events and you really want to move up on the PDC Order of Merit, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to make it mandatory for all the serious players who want to get into the World Championship and stuff like that they play in the NWDS events because they're worth more than twice the money.
Than one event? NWDS events a year?
Well, yeah. We'll have to get some of those people on the record as far as like how many events they're going to have. They announced 5 events for the PDC
for this year, this coming year
for 2013, but they're changing the format where now there's going to be more. There's going to be 2 singles instead of 1. So we're kind of got a little bit of a moving target here. And the other issue is that the PDC, right, is the kind of governing body of the Order of Merit, and they kind of decide how things go. So at some point you have to follow PDC guidelines, which may be in conflict with whatever else is going on. For instance, the round robin that they're going to have at the NWDS in April, it's going to be the same format from what I understand. You're going to play round robin Saturday. That'll set up seedings on Sunday.
Yeah.
However, the PDC is going to insist that the Sunday knockout round is seeded based on the PDC Order of Merit.
Which would make the round robin irrelevant?
It won't make it irrelevant, but it will change the nature of what you're qualifying for because you're still going to have to finish in the top half of the round robin to get in the knockout round. So if you're a seeded player...
But then you won't be seeded with the way you finished in the round robin.
Well...
Typically.
Depends. If you're one of the top... If you're a PDC seed and you get through your round robin group, then you'll have your seed on Sunday.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you won't. So you're going to have to finish in the top half of your round robin to get into the money round.
Right.
The main top 64 thing on Sunday. Okay? But once you do that, then you're going to play your normal seed. So I don't know who's seated where, but I haven't looked at the list, and I know I'm pretty sure Jeff Smith may be in the chat room, and I don't know if he's posting anything, but the idea, and I'm not sure how they're going to do everyone else, but I'm sure they'll figure out an equitable way to do it. So if a seeded player finishes 3rd in their round robin group, they'll still be seeded on Sunday. That's the one change that you'll see, and that is something that the PDC is insisting on. Okay, well, fine. Do it that way.
Yeah.
But it's going to be great because by the end of the year, there's going to be, the list right now is,
do you believe that the overall opinion, though, is that there's room for both of these tournaments? Like the majority is going to rule in favor?
Absolutely. Because
so they're just going to have a few people that are upset with change.
Well, look, I mean, one of the things that always bothered me about the PDC is that they kind of change their rules on the fly. And the PDC's been extremely successful, so they can pretty much do
what
they
feel
think
like
is best, and we're going to have to go along with it because they're the powers that be.
Kind of like the NFL.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can every issue in sports. You know how everything is covered by The Godfather?
Right.
Every issue in sports is covered by the original rollerball.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I tried to find a quote that we could play from the movie,
From the
which
movie?
is probably illegal, but there's where the coach is telling the guys, hey, look, there's always been rule changes, and you signed a contract that you'd play no matter what the rule changes were.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you remember the movie,
I
but
do remember the
eventually
movie.
in the final, spoiler alert,
Yeah.
no time limit and no penalties and no substitutions.
Right.
Last man standing. Right. It's awesome. Best movie ever
Oh,
made
it was
about sports.
fantastic movie.
Rollerball. By far. The original, the Norman Jewison
Yeah,
one.
no, the remake.
The other one
not
was
so good.
just like
No, the original's fantastic.
completely
James
and
Caan.
utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maude Adams. And who is it? Is it Patrick Wayne plays Moon Pie?
I can't
don't
remember.
remember who the guy
Yeah.
was. He was a handsome, big, strong jawed dude. And just for the women out there, there are a lot of shirtless guys in the locker room. Just if you want some eye candy. Anyway,
From the 70s.
I'm getting a little blah blah. Let's take our first break and see if we can get a commercial in, and we'll be right back. We'll be back in about a minute. Got to do the bumper thing.
I know.
All right, this is going to be rough. So don't talk until you hear the music. Okay, and we're back.
Second quarter.
Second quarter brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also thanks to Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Sorry, I actually had a commercial to run, but I'm having a problem with this file
Tech
format.
department
It's
is not
kicking.
the-
Well, no, the thing's kicking it out and saying, please buy a license, and I didn't have to do that last time.
Right.
So I don't know if they changed their system here or what the deal is. We'll have to look into that. Where were we? I don't even
About
remember.
whether it's going to be supported by most of the dart community. That the fact that there can be two tournaments like this in the same weekend.
Okay, the one legitimate criticism that I've heard is that they're changing the structure of the money system by adding these tournaments.
Yeah.
Which if you're kind of high up in there, now you have to go to Vegas to defend your position.
Okay.
And if people weren't planning on going to Vegas, they're gonna have to. I remember talking to one of the top players in Chicago, who was he wasn't terribly happy that this thing was even coming about, but he felt obligated to play because he wanted to protect his position, because it's all about getting into the World Championship.
Right. So
that's the be all and end all.
You have to. It's just about your commitment. If you're that committed to it, you're going to go.
Well, no. Look, the guys who played last year played under a certain set of assumptions.
Yeah.
Right. That there were going to be 3 events in 2012 and 5 next year. So if they did really good in the 3 that they went to in 2012, they probably went to bed thinking, okay, I'm in great shape for next year. Well, now all of a sudden,
that changed.
There's tournaments that offer even more money.
Right.
So it's like, well, you're going to have to go if you want to stay on the top of the list. So, okay, there's that, but then there's also, okay, here's more opportunities to play. Here's more opportunities to play big-time darts.
Plus the guy that told you that he felt obligated, is it obligation also but he wants to go?
Well, look,
because there's more money involved.
Well, as tournament players, you have to choose where you're going to go, and I think that some of the angst and some of the reluctance that I'm hearing out there are people that are used to going to certain tournaments and used to supporting those tournaments are starting to worry that maybe, okay, there's a conflict with White Mountain. Okay, we got that. What about the next one? What about the next one after that? If there's going to constantly, be people having to choose, then the one thing I would say is let's get the dates out early.
Yeah.
Announce the dates as soon as you can so people can start making plans, because if you burn your frequent flyer miles going to this tournament, then you don't have them to go to that one. So as tournament players, it'd be great to be able to sit down tomorrow and say, okay, these are all the tournaments for next year, and what am I going to do? What can I do? If you have limited resources and you can only afford to go to one tournament a month, you're going to have to figure out which one you're going to, right? And the clock is ticking for tournament players, right? So it's kind of like I just booked a flight for Philly. Cyber Monday. I got like some insane deal. I haven't seen a 150 round trip to Philly.
Nice.
I haven't seen anything like that in over a year. So now I'm going to Philly and I'm like running around. Hey, I need a partner. I need a partner. I need a partner. And everybody's like, no, Steve, I don't want to play with you. I'm playing with somebody else. I got dumped. I got dumped for the first time.
Is this because it's so late that you're entering?
No.
They're just doing it.
No, somebody dumped me. We were set to go, and he sends me a text, and he's like, oh, I decided not to go because I'm going to go do this, that, and the other thing. And then, I booked this flight, and I sent him a text. I'm like, hey, by the way, there's cheap flights to Philly. So he books a flight to Philly and then agrees to play it with somebody else. And I'm like, wow, I haven't been dumped in a long time.
He didn't get the assumption that you were calling him because you still needed a partner?
Whatever.
Nice.
It's like people are going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've been dumped as a doubles partner ever. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, if I get dumped once every 11 years, I mean, I guess that's all right.
You can handle it.
I just found it kind of funny because, this guy originally came up to me and suggested that we go, and I wasn't planning on going to Philly. My schedule for next year, I'm just going to focus on the big ones. So of course, Vegas pays $4,800. The money's green. It's long format. I'm there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard of a decision for me between flying halfway across the country to play best of 3 501 versus flying halfway across the country to play long format 501.
Right. Not for you, but yeah.
Well, for anybody. For people that are traveling a long way, the local people are always going to support their local tournaments. Yeah. And to be honest with you, there was a tournament last year that had a conflict. I'm trying to remember. The PDC in Atlantic City was the same weekend as the Lake Erie Classic, which is a nice tournament outside of Cleveland.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay, it's not like a big money tournament. I think the total prize money is like $10,000. Okay. So it's about half what most people consider big tournaments $20,000 and higher. Like Virginia Beach is almost 40. right? Nashville's like well over 20, is probably close to 30, and those were the two majors we said would definitely be majors in 2013.
Yeah.
And then, Stanford, I don't know what the total was there.
I thought it was a little lower.
Well, they publish it at 20, but then if there's more people, they'll pay out more.
Okay.
So they've been pretty good about that. So those were the three majors that we were talking about, and we were kind of on the fence about Stanford, right? So they had this local tournament in Cleveland, and then you had the PDC in Atlantic City, which is, not easy to get to. And the Lake Erie people were upset that they were scheduling another tournament on their weekend, right? Well, they ended up having like one of their best turnouts. Right?
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, there's something to be said where, like, look, if you're a local recreational player and you just want to go to a tournament, have a good time, and play, and all the big guns are somewhere else, is that really going to hurt you?
Well, no. It's actually something to be said that the sport is growing and it's stronger.
Well, yeah.
If you can support
Again,
more events.
It's the same philosophy where I said the ADO needed to change the way they do their regionals.
Yeah.
If they let the top 24, the top 32, or whatever, the top 16 on the ADO list, if they automatically were allowed to enter one of the national championships and didn't have to qualify, you might get more people going to the qualifiers who are tired of losing to these guys. Right? If they raise the prize money for the national championships, which don't pay anything. I mean, you got the NWDS thing. It's $4,800 for first.
Yeah.
The National Cricket Championship, the prestige is obviously important, but it only pays like $800.
Right.
I mean, I've played singles events that paid more than that.
Right.
I got $1,200 for winning in Virginia Beach. So, I mean, at some point, we have to unskew some of this stuff. And, some of it's going to be incumbent on the ADO, and that's part of the Crossroads things, where you have the ADO, which is the national organization that's been around forever, and unfortunately, there's a, Chris is, the president's been ill.
Yeah.
So, but what's the ADO going to do? How are they going to contribute?
They're going to have to change something.
Well, I'm not sure what they want to do, but how are they going to contribute to growth? You have an independent organization like the New World Dart Series that is putting on these big pro events outside of, the ADO, and really they did it last year outside of anything. They weren't associated with the PDC last year. Right? Okay, big success. Yeah, okay, there a couple of things need to get ironed out, but overall we gave it an excellent grade,
up.
right?
Yeah.
And so did all the players. And I must have talked to 30 or 40 people.
Yeah.
And even people that, didn't play well, it's on them.
They still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Sure.
At least they, the idea that a tournament is an examination of where your game is at and exposes, whatever flaws are in your game was like spot on for this tournament. That's exactly what it did.
Yeah.
And for people that, want to improve, all you got to do is hit these tournaments and you will be a better player. You'll be better on Sunday night by the time it's all over. Sometimes it's hard to quantify sometimes, but you're definitely going to be a better player.
Well, that definitely makes sense.
Right. So, where the ADO is going to be in all this, remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But, it'd be, I think, very easy for the ADO to make, some changes like I'm talking about. Like this year they made the regionals open to everybody where you don't have to live in the region to play.
Okay.
All they have to do now is, give the top 16, top 32. Okay, you want to play in the national championship, you're in, just show up. And then let everybody else play in the regionals. I guarantee you're going to get more regional participation.
Sure.
By far.
Would make sense.
If you raise the prize money and throw in a few $1,000s where, okay, now it's, $4,000 for first and $2,000 for second and $1,000 for top four, of course you're going to get more participation. The one problem that people are not addressing as far as like this issue with like, conflicts and everything is there's only so many players, right?
True.
So, I mean, I think some of the tournaments, some of the smaller tournaments may be wondering if they're really at a point where they're barely making it. And they can't really afford to lose 10 players, right? that might come to their tournament, but there's something better down the road, so they're going to lose those 10. If that's going to make or break their tournament, then there's other things that they need to change anyway.
Sure.
Right? I mean, if your tournament's hanging by a thread,
right,
it's just a matter of time anyway.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how they need to change, some of the formats.
Why would you want to go every year
stuff.
hanging by a thread anyway? Eventually, you would. I mean, that doesn't do you any good.
Out, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, is American darts at a crossroads? That was
you're saying you think it is.
Well, what do you think?
It still sounds to me like it's growing. Instead of at a crossroads, it's just going up. Is basically, I mean, you're getting more tournaments with more money, and you're getting more and more professionals at these tournaments, and your darts has increased in popularity.
I went out Saturday night to somebody's wife was out of town. He's like, "Hey, you want to get together and throw?" And I went and I actually played a blind draw Friday night. That's the first time I've been to like the local blind draw in months.
Yeah.
But I changed my grip, did I tell you?
You did.
I changed my grip.
Yeah.
And, I practiced with it. Everything was awesome. So I was like, well, I'll try it out, at the blind draw and see how it holds up, under a little bit of stress. And, okay. So I missed a lot of doubles, but I still ended up winning both the draws. It was kind of like, cool. So this guy calls me up Saturday. He's like, let's go out. So I end up, going to the little local bar with 2 boards, and there's like, 4 or 5 people playing on the other board. And, I start talking to them about it. They have so much enthusiasm. They're new. They haven't been playing a lot, but they really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these people, and let me put a picture up of them, because they actually like, oh, can we have take your picture and stuff, So these are the 3 of the people I was playing with.
I don't blame you.
Dana, and Melissa.
Okay.
From left to right. They had such a good time. And, I gave them some tips.
You would have gone up and played dice with them.
Well, look, I mean, the point that I'm making, though, is it's like, I talked to these 3 people for, 45 minutes. I gave them some tips, and they were so enthusiastic. They were talking about joining a league and, putting a board up at home and practicing and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's, I'll post on Facebook next time I'm coming in if you guys want some more tips.
Right.
I have no problem with that. I mean, but that's the future of the game right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? These are, I think they were all like in their middle 20s,
25-ish.
Maybe a year or 2 out of college or, what have you, starting out, and they're living in like the singles part of town and stuff like that. But the idea that you can, create enthusiasm just by being on a board next to somebody is the one thing that worries me. If you're going to start doing tournaments where the pros are all in one place and everybody else is in another, right? That I don't believe is going to be all that great. So we got to figure out a way for people like that to show up at the tournament and still play. Right, this is where Darts Live did a really good job, because Darts Live had 100 and whatever was in the main field, a couple of 100 players. They had another 250 that just kind of played blind draws, and they had like an amateur division and played in like this kind of 4-person blind draw thing, where they got 1 pro and 1 really good player, and then another amateur and themselves, where there's some cross-pollination.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of Le Scratch to me, is that they capped the field at 128, right? And you had to play the Friday night draw. And all the locals came out to the draw knowing they were going to get a pro as a partner, right?
Which that's,
for recreational players to
that's
be able to play
deal.
with a pro every now and then, absolutely it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the kind of thing that I hope everybody kind of keeps in mind, is that you have to be inclusive as much as you can. I'm all for being exclusive about some things, but when you're talking about the growth of the sport, you need to incorporate everyone.
I agree with that.
There needs to be a path for people that want to improve. There needs to be some place for people to just play for fun.
Yeah.
Right? And there needs to be contact.
There needs to be a place for the people that want to improve to be able to improve.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's
Definitely.
something like that. And, obviously, I don't know how many people would fly out to Las Vegas for a blind draw. So my other concern is, and we've talked about this on the show, is geography. I mean, if we're going to be putting on these, big, great tournaments where, and because it's North America, you've got Canadians coming in, and, I don't know, I know it's expensive to fly out of Canada, but I don't know that you can get really good, cheap flights from Canada to Jacksonville or Canada to Charlotte.
Right.
So it seems to me we need to start looking around the Great Lakes, like in Detroit and Buffalo and Cleveland, for venues to run these tournaments. I'm very anti-Vegas. I'll go, but I'm not terribly thrilled that I have to go to Vegas yet again. I'm so sick of it.
You'd rather be in Cleveland?
If you just tell me my gate and drop me off in the front of McCarran, I could close my eyes and get to my gate.
But you'd rather be in Cleveland or Detroit.
Why not? I mean, I'm not a big fan of Vegas anymore.
Okay.
Right? Now, Vegas in April, Vegas in April's okay. I mean, the Vegas Open's at the Tuscany, and there's no jacuzzi. Well, wait. There's 2 outdoor jacuzzis. Right? So that's cool.
I'll believe you.
No, trust me.
Okay.
I'm just, I think if they're going to put tournaments on in Vegas, they should have them downtown at the Golden Nugget.
Yeah.
Because downtown is like, if you want to go have some fun, drink some beers, and play some $2 blackjack, downtown's
That's
the place
to go. Sure.
And if you want to play $1,000
Who cares if there's
blackjack,
a martini
you
bar?
could do that too.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, there's all sorts of stuff to do. But I mean, everything's so far away. So you want to walk half an hour to go to the piano bar? Well, once you've done it 10 times, it's kind of like, whatever. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, and we are back for
the second half, supposedly.
The second half.
Yeah.
Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks to our other sponsors. I think we're going to fire Redwood Darts because they're not coming through.
Oh, really?
Get rid of them.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Too bad.
I got to redo the opening credits, which everybody likes. You've seen them, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I like them.
It was hard to get pictures of you, smiling. You're pretty,
Okay.
you're pretty impassive. We have results from the DPNY, which is the Dart Players New York tour. They are setting up for their season-ending finale.
Correct.
And they actually have the brackets drawn and everything.
We do have those, yes.
But we've got events from the last men's event number 7 and women's event number 4, I believe. So
Correct.
Why don't you run down those real quick?
We're going to do the top 8 from the men's. Event number 7, let's see. Paul Burns beat David Marienthal, 6-2. Tim O'Gorman won 6-3 over George Timponi. Gary French, 6-2 over Bob Tefuri. And Ryan Vanderweet, 6-4 over Bill DeWitt, which set up, it was a random draw. Gary French won 6-3 over Paul Burns, and Ryan Vanderweet won 6-1 over Tim O'Gorman. And then in your finals, Ryan Vanderweet wins it 6-5 over Gary French.
6-5, so went down to a decider.
Went the distance.
The semifinals are kind of quick.
Well, most of them, yeah. Only one of them went 4.
Yeah, the semis, 6-1 and 6-3. I mean, that's kind of wipe out there.
So then in your women's top 8, Sue Kovac 3-1 over Mary McHugh. Jackie Clark 3-0 over Heather Farrell. Deborah Burkich 3-1 over Joel Palladino. Carolyn Roche 3-2 over Amy Jerzimbowski. I think I got that right.
I think so.
Top 4 then Sue Kovac 3-1 over Jackie Clark. Deborah Burkich 3-2 over Carolyn Roche. With, drum roll please, Deborah Burkich winning 3-1 over Sue Kovac.
Okay, congrats to everybody who played there. And now we have the...
we have some brackets.
The final... Yeah, you know, there's some interesting matches in the brackets. Let's run down who the top, like... Let's just do like the top 8
points?
seeds now. For the grand final.
George Timponi's leading in points.
So he'll be the 1 seed.
He's the 1 seed. Paul Burns would be the 2. Ryan Vanderweet is 3rd. TJ DeArmas 4th. Rich Hammond 5th. Tim O'Gorman 6th. Jim Woodmayer 7th. And David Marienthal would be the top 8 seeds in that order, 1 through 8.
Okay, and then for the women? Do we have the women
we do
somewhere?
Have the women.
Okay.
Sue Kovac would be number 1, Jackie Clark 2, Deborah Burkich 3, Jennifer Schaefer 4, Kelly West 5th, Robin Curry 6th, Audrey Garcia 7th, and Nikki Carey would be your 8 seed.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you got some of the top guns, like Widmeyer's ranked, I think, 6th in the NAPTA.
Yeah, something like that.
And,
last time we looked here, he was close.
But obviously, he doesn't have as many points as some of these other guys, so he's seeded 7th.
Yeah.
And then you got Robin Curry and Callie West, who are 2 of the top women on NAPTA, seated in the bottom bracket there.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting.
Well, it's because they missed 3 out of the 7
want to do
events.
quick odds on that?
Quick odds?
Quick odds. Well, let's run down the first round matches. You got them there? Because I thought this was interesting. See, now, here's a guy who has completely come up with an awesome thing for the local darters.
Yeah.
Where I actually contemplated flying to New York and playing in one of these just so I could, qualify to get in the grand final, because it actually,
how many would you have to play in?
I don't know.
Out of the 7?
I didn't figure it out. Usually when I see it posted, it's already full.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got a lot of people that, and I was talking to, I think I was talking to Bones about it, and he's like, you know what, this is so much better than just going to a tournament. Once a month, somewhere local, you play a tournament.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? So
it's easy to plan.
Yeah. and if you need somebody like Anthony who's got this all organized and, obtains the venues and whatnot and,
right.
keeps things running and you've got a lot of players. He's got a lot of support. I mean, look how many people come out. So I think that's pretty cool. And, the prize money at the end of the road, I think Widmeyer won it last year and he got $5,000 or something like that.
Nice.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I remain jealous.
So it's basically it's an 8-month deal, right?
Yeah, it's kind of they have it they have an event every 2 months and then the grand final at the end or, whatever. I think it's a great idea. Widmeyer and DeWitt.
Yeah, well,
Vanderwhite and French. That's a rematch of that last final.
Schism would be 116.
Yeah, I don't know Schism, but
Marienthal Garzone 8 and 9.
That's a good one. Those are 2 veteran players.
DeArmas Gambino 413. Hammond Ronholm, you're 512.
Okay, so I will take DeArmas and George Timponi coming out of that one.
Okay.
Is that chalk? That's
1 and 4. 1 and 4.
Okay, so we're chalk so far.
So yeah, you're chalk. You got Paul Burns, Sean Arnold, 2-5. Widmeyer, DeWitt,
Vanderwhite, French,
Vanderwhite, French.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go upset here. I'm going to say O'Gorman and
the 6th seed.
I'll say O'Gorman and Paul Burns.
Okay.
And hopefully I won't get a email from
So
Whitmare. Yeah, so I'll take...
Or Vanderweet, since he's the 3 seed.
Geez,
He's
really?
the only chalk you're not taking.
No, I'm not taking...
Yeah, you got the 1, 2, and 4, and 6 seeds. The only chalk you're not taking is Vanderweet, the 3 seed.
Oh, okay. I'm taking O'Gorman instead. Well, he's a 6 over 3. I mean,
Right.
that's semi-chalk.
No, that's legitimate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm taking 2 over
Yeah.
7. I don't think Whitmare considers himself a 7 seed. That's kind of why. So who am I picking? I got Burns.
You got Timponi,
O'Gorman, Timponi, and
Armas.
DeArmas.
And this goes on when?
A couple of weeks. I think it's the middle of December. You know what? I'm going to take TJ. I'm going to go with youth. I'm going to pick TJ DeArmas. So let's circle that. We'll see how. Make sure you don't throw that one away.
Okay.
What do we got for women here? Let's move this along here.
The women, you got Kovac against Carey, Schaefer against West, Clark against Garcia, and Burkich against Curry.
Wow. Well, you take Callie, you take Sue, you take Jackie, and you take Robin. So that makes it Robin against Jackie and Sue against Callie.
Right.
It's really hard to pick against Callie. And I don't know if she's got Robin's number or not when they play together. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick the women because I never really get to see them play.
Right.
So I can only go on reputation. So let's do it the old-fashioned way. Okay. Susanna Kovac is taller than Nikki Carey, so I'll take Susanna there. Jen Schaefer and Callie West. Callie West is blonder. We'll take Callie.
Okay.
Jackie Clark against Audrey Garcia. I don't know Audrey, so I'll take Jackie. And then Deborah Verkic against Robin Curry. Robin Curry's got a shorter name, so we'll take her. What are you doing? You're killing me. All right. So we'll pick Callie.
Callie did.
Yeah, that's kind of chalk. She's the top-ranked woman there. I think Callie and Robin are ranked 1 and 2 nationally. So we'll take them. We'll go chalk with the women.
Well,
yeah, so
you're not going chalk because Robin's a 6 seed.
Well, but it's technically.
And Callie, so you're going a 6 and 5 seed?
Yeah. So 1, see? There you go.
Do you like Callie or Robin?
Callie. I think Callie's got Robin's number. We'll see. But
all right, well there you have it.
So there are your picks for
Steve's
the DPNY. Picks. Yeah. I think it's I don't know. I wish one of the things that has helped the growth of darts in England is the ability of people to wager. You know,
absolutely.
You can wager on any dart match
right.
and then watch it on TV and get into it.
It's what made the NFL so big.
Exactly. If nobody gambled on football, well, I mean, fantasy's kind of the same thing.
Sure.
I mean, you know, with the fantasy
that's
thing,
evolved huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There are plenty of casual fans that don't really care if a team wins or loses
exactly.
as long as their guy
scores
gets the
3
ball
touchdowns.
or, you know, I got this defense. Like,
right. No, you can watch a football game and every pass play you're pissed off if it doesn't go to your guy.
Right.
And you have no interest in the football game whatsoever.
Even though he's triple covered.
Right, exactly.
Like who had Calvin Johnson this year? Like, what do you get? No touchdowns in the first 7 games? Right. These people are tearing their hair out because he's like their number 1 pick.
Right.
Yeah. So I told everybody to take Andrew Luck, and I got poo-pooed. And I'm like, he's going to throw 50 times a game. They've done good. He's 7 wins well. For Indy.
Yeah.
I have to consider that a major turnaround.
Yeah. Since they were the worst team.
Yeah, but the idea of wagering.
Sure. Like I definitely helped.
We'll have to do they're by the way, they're running this is going to be the last weekend to qualify for the United States National Cricket Championship, which is held at the Vegas Open at the end of January. And so I did promise Chris Rossano they are having they're having a regional in Cleveland. And so I did kind of tell him that I would mention it. So let me find it here. We're also having one in Chicago on Saturday. It starts at noon. It starts at 1.
Say that again?
We're having a regional in Chicago.
Noon, it starts at 1?
The bar opens at 12.
Okay.
So sign-ups are at 12, and we're going to try to start at 1.
And then it starts at 1.
And we need, we need people to show up and support this. So by all means, everybody come and support it. Now, they are also on Sunday having a regional final in Cleveland. So if I could just bring that up, I'll tell everybody where it is because I told Chris I would mention it. Okay, so Sunday at the West Park Slovenian home. The qualifier doors open at noon for a 2 p.m. start time. The address is 4583 West 130th Street in Cleveland, Ohio. So that's a 2 o'clock start on Sunday. So you could actually play in Chicago on Saturday, and if you don't make it, go to Cleveland on Sunday and get yourself in.
Right.
It's the coolest thing. It's round-robin cricket, and then the top 16. You finish the top 2 guys in every round-robin group. Go into knockout round, where it starts out, I think the round of 16 is best of 5 cricket, and then it goes up from there. So it's one of the coolest. And
how many qualifiers? Events. Just the winner?
What do you mean? Well, for every 8 people, 1 person qualifies.
Okay.
So if you get 16, it's the top 2. If you get 24, it's the top 3. So that would be that'd be pretty cool. I'm already in, but it'd be nice to get more people. The one thing about the regional that people don't realize that I think is getting lost on a lot of people, except the ones in Carolina, is if you have leagues that support this sort of thing, your league or your region is going to be responsible for creating a national champion. Because I've won what I've won.
Right.
I win events every year, and singles, doubles, triples, whatever. But every match I've ever won, part of what helped me to win is every match I've ever lost.
Well, that makes sense.
So,
sure.
Like when I won my first state title in Illinois, I could still remember the people who beat me in singles the very first season I played league. And all those people that beat me helped me, in some way. I learned something about the game, I got motivated or whatever, but that's what enables you to improve. So, the regionals where, your region is whoever makes it out of your region, you've toughened them up to enable them to win a championship. Right. So you look at like a guy like Robbie Phillips who comes out of Carolina where they have these huge regionals where they get 32 guys and they send 4 people to the nationals and one of them ends up winning. I think that everybody who plays in that region and played in that regional final should feel some pride that their guy made it through and that they lost to the champion.
With that. Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think with the ADO that's getting lost on changing the way we're doing the regions where you can just skip around and go wherever you want is that regional pride. Then maybe it was lost. Yeah, maybe it was bigger back in the day. I remember I talked to Tony Payne in Columbus, and he was talking about how there were certain areas that really had a good pool of great players, and if you showed up, I mean, pretty much anybody you ran into. Chicago used to be that way. He said the state of Ohio was like that. Boston, New York, apparently Carolina. I know there's a lot of great shots in Florida. I don't know about Texas anymore. Texas is kind of big, so I don't know. I don't really. Yeah, and Southern California used to have a lot of great players, and that regional pride. I don't know if that even
exists anymore.
If we're losing that, changing the way we do the regionals might fix it. Where you give the top guys, a bye.
Okay.
To get in.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to pay their own way because, if you win the regional, the ADO will fly you out to the tournament. So get some other people out there. A lot of these top players have sponsors and everything, and, they have the ability to win
to get out
enough
there.
To make their expenses back anyway.
Yeah.
So they could take one for the team when it comes to the ADO. And there's only 4. Right.
Flying somebody else out there that can't necessarily afford it.
Yeah, we're talking about a pro-growth strategy here, where you're taxing the rich. Which are the top players.
Exactly.
Because now they have to pay their own way instead of winning the trip. But then you're getting other people involved. And the more people you get involved, the more money there's going to be. And if you raise the prize money, then the top players that are going on their own dime, at least there's something to play for there. So they're going to be motivated to go too.
Right.
See, I've solved everything, and we're not even done with the show.
Right. We haven't even taken we haven't even reached the 4th quarter yet.
We need a live studio audience, so I could get some applause for some of this stuff. I was going to steal the beginning of the Colbert Report where the crowd chants Steven, Steven,
oh, nice.
Steven. I was
nice.
like, I may do that anyway. We're probably going to get sued. All right, let's take our last break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we're back for the last quarter.
Fourth quarter.
Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also thanks to Windy City Fabricators. We had our first visitor in the studio today.
Did we?
We did. My league team is actually playing right now.
Okay.
Down the street. And
do you have to play tonight?
No.
Nice.
So
usually they sucker you into that one.
Not this week, because there's one place I don't go, and that's where they're playing. So it's like I wish them luck, and I hope they do well. And if they want to like tell me I'm a terrible teammate again, like last year,
knock your socks off.
Was
it the playoffs again?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Semifinals, which is sort of like, look, I mean, come on, step it up, guys. Anyway, where are we now? What are we talking about here? Oh, we did not run the disclaimer.
Nice.
So we have to disclaim everything we've said.
Yes.
All right.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits. Any remarks resembling anyone living or dead is purely coincidental and in no way represent Mother Earth, Father Time, Aunt Marilyn, Uncle Fester, all organized religions, independent contractors, official friends of the show, the North America Professional Dart Alliance, the Undead, the Grateful Dead, or Sharon D. Butler.
We haven't let it run in a while.
No, we haven't.
Okay, so next week, we're supposed to announce the finalists. Oh, man, I knew I forgot something. Okay.
The finalists.
The finalists we will announce next week. We'll
announce
have
winners.
Well, here's the plan. Next week, we will announce the official Dart Talk Newcomer of the Year.
Yeah.
And the finalists are T.J. DeArmas,
okay,
Tyler Mears, and Levi Remick. So I think Tyler Mears is south somewhere. T.J. DeArmas is in New York. And Levi is in Lowell, Massachusetts, playing in the Minuteman Dart League. So congrats to them. We'll announce the winner for that next week. For the outstanding players of the year, for the men, the nominees were Tom Sawyer and Larry Butler and Darren Young.
Okay.
For the women, it was Paula Murphy, Marilyn Pop, and Stacy Bromberg.
All right.
And then for player of the year, it's the same men. It's Tom Sawyer, Darren Young, and Larry Butler. And for the women, it was Callie West. I should have written this down. Callie West, Paula Murphy, and Stacy Bromberg.
So there's only one change in the women's.
Right. Who was
for the two awards?
What was the change?
Was Callie West?
Right. Yeah. So there's one change.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is next week we will announce Newcomer of the Year. The week after that we'll do Most Outstanding Player, and then the third week we'll do
the Player of the Year.
Player of the Year. Right. We'll end with Player of the Year.
And we're still taking nominations for Jack Wagon of the Year.
Jack Wagon of the Year will be in our last show, and the nominations I've gotten so far are hilarious.
Okay, good.
So, I know some of you have personal axes to grind with people that beat you too often. That is not what Jack Wagon of the Year is about.
Yeah, but they're funny to read.
Yeah, they are pretty funny. The idea here is, like, who's really messed up darts the most this year in like an overall scheme. Not because somebody said something to you after he beat you or you beat them.
Yeah.
That's not what we're really looking at.
Well, it still makes him a Jack Wagon, but he won't win Jack Wagon of the Year award for it.
Right.
So
we have some interesting nominations. So if you guys want to send those to darttalk@gmail.com, we'll give them due consideration. Right. This is actually, we're getting a lot, so it's pretty cool.
That's good.
Yeah. It's like, and again, we're not the complaint desk. You know, I don't know how things have kind of evolved that way, but don't forget you can always get the podcast off of iTunes, Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and then we have our YouTube channel, which is Dart Talk US, and we generally post the show a few hours after we're done live. So by all means, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, it will tell you when the thing's uploaded, and you don't have to text me saying, where's the show? So you guys should totally subscribe to that. If you subscribe on iTunes, as soon as it shows up, No, iTunes.
iTunes.
What I say, YouTunes?
YouTunes.
iTunes. If you subscribe on iTunes, as soon as it goes up, it'll download it for you.
Right.
And, you can listen to it on your iPod or your smartphone or however you do things. Did we miss anything from the chat room?
Not that
we covered all.
Other than it's a shame that you're going to Philly and we didn't get enough dough ponied up to Toys for Tots for you to get your hair cut.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm kind of disappointed in that, but for the people that did contribute to Toys for Tots, we thank you, and it's a very worthy cause. And we'll have to come up with some other contest to cut the ponytail.
Yeah.
Did you see David Axelrod is copied us? Did I tell you that?
No.
David Axelrod is like a White House advisor.
Yeah, right.
And his deal, he had originally gone on some cable news show and made a bet with one of the hosts that if Obama lost this state or that state, he'd shave his mustache. And then if he won this state or that state, the other guy had to grow one.
Okay.
Turns out the other guy had to grow one. And they went through this thing where they said, tell you what, instead of that, David Axelrod's child has epilepsy. So he was like, well, if we raise $1 million for epilepsy research, I'll shave my mustache. Donald Trump kicked in $100,000. Mark Cuban kicked in $100,000. So they're literally, in a month, they've raised almost $1 million.
For him to shave his mustache.
So I don't know what to say about that except, our listeners need to pony up. I am starting to work on the website, though, so hopefully
Donald
we'll get
Trump to listen to the show. How do we make that happen?
Can you imagine Donald Trump being a darter?
No.
Can you imagine what kind of game he would throw? He would probably...
Actually, I think he used to be a decent athlete, so, I mean,
I can just imagine... I can imagine him... like going to my doubles partner and saying, if you miss, I'll give you $1,000.
Right.
Right? Thanks a lot, doubles partner. How do you turn that down?
You don't.
You're playing for a beer. Guy offers you $1,000. I mean, you're kind of hosed. So I have a feeling he might turn himself into a winner.
He might.
Right? It's like the one multi-billionaire that started playing all the Texas Hold'em pros. Just started killing them. Because they aren't millionaires. Right? 500,000 is everything they have in the safe deposit box at the casino, and this guy's going all in on nothing.
Yeah, just right.
I mean, he just crushed these guys. So it's kind of funny. You got anything?
No, I think that about covers it.
Okay, so next week we'll do the Newcomer of the Year, and we're not going to have time for the cricket this week, so sorry. Other things to talk
Darren, and
about.
Tom are all going to Hong Kong. Does it matter?
Well, I will next week. I will put odds on who's going to win Hong Kong because I already know. So, spoiler alert! I'll tell everybody.
You already know who's going to win.
Yeah, I'll tell everyone who's going to win next week.
All right.
And then.
And how do you know this?
Little birdie told me.
Okay.
I had a dream. I woke up. I was dreaming about, Darts Live Championship, the grand final, and all of a sudden a name came to me, and I'm like, oh, of course he'll win. So I'll announce
we'll find that out
week.
next week.
Yeah.
All right.
It'll be cool. All right, anybody. For Mark, it's Steve. Thanks for listening. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for the emails. And we'll Dart talk to you next week. Everybody take care.